OCD is the sixth most common mental health disorder in the UK, suffered by 4% of the population. It is likely that you know someone with OCD and you don't even know that they have it. When I was 9, I was diagnosed with OCD. For those of you who are unaware or unfamiliar of OCD, it stands for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, a condition where a person experiences recurring and uncontrollable thoughts and engages in repetitive behaviours, or both. Although personally, I rather compare it to how when we are children, we are read storybooks and myths over and over again, repetitively, and are eventually led to believe with our young imaginations that these stories are true. For example, with OCD, when you think a thought or do an action over and over again, you're eventually led to believe that that thought is true, or the action will prevent something that you were worried about from happening. It makes you believe you can control the future. At 9 years old, I wouldn't be able to go to bed until I had checked that all the light switches and plug sockets in the house were off, as I believed that if one had been left on, the whole house would burn up in flames. So I would check them again and again until I could eventually believe what I had seen and go to bed. Humans are creatures of habit. We fall into habits easily, and those habits create routines. Although with OCD, this routine becomes a ritual of high importance, one that you cannot get by without completing all features of it. At the beginning of 2020, I bought a diary called A Line a Day, in which you write a small paragraph of everything you did that day. As we slowly moved into the pandemic of March that year, I began to write at the end of each of my paragraphs, "We will all be fine though," to convince myself that this would be true. Growing up, my dad has always told me and my sister a phrase that goes, "It'll all be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end." And throughout the period of lockdown, I began to live by that phrase, and still, today, I do. At the beginning of last year, I lost my grandpa, Papa. He was my best friend. He was kind, funny, he loved to collect stamps and play Connect 4, and he was much loved by the whole family. This was a massive change for me and my family, and as a result, I stopped writing "We will all be fine though" completely. This written sentence hadn't saved my Papa, and it felt silly to go on writing it. I felt that it wasn't something that I wanted to live by anymore. This made me break an OCD cycle which I had been trapped in for 3 years. I found this strange because I've always found it difficult to break out of my habit-turning rituals, and it showed me that it was possible to break these routines, and I was capable of doing so. It has been found that OCD can be treated, but not necessarily cured, as OCD is a way of thinking. It is how your brain processes and perceives certain thoughts and actions. For me, personally, when I was diagnosed, I couldn't tell any of my friends until I was 13, as I had not found the confidence to do so. Although I found that telling them made absolutely no difference at all, and if anything, made it better. Keeping it to myself was only another OCD ritual, which once broken made me feel a lot less worried. As I said, there aren't ways to cure OCD, but there are ways to make it better, and for me, that was the first step. So, in conclusion, although I will have to learn to live with my OCD for the rest of my life, I will always find comfort in the words that my dad has always told me, but his dad, Papa, always told him. It'll all be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. Showing how I might have escaped writing "We will all be fine though," but some phrases are just a little harder to let go of.